Hello, everyone. This is Peter Stone. I've been out traveling for some time, and last year I did the Stepping Up and Stepping Out program, making 2017 your best year yet. So I hope for many of you there was something useful in that program, at least one thing or more that you could have gotten out of that program if you watched that. If you didn't, you can go back and see a few different episodes. There's podcast as well. It is on the focus of the upside. And I think in today's time, it's so important that we find that seed of opportunity in everything around us. I think it's really critical. And in the 2017 program, that was the core of the program, is we've got a struggle and we've got a challenge and we've got a situation that is maybe less than comfortable for us, maybe even to us, to our minds, to our thinking, our perception is this is devastating. But I always look at these. I've learned to look at these. Not always. This is not true. It's not always. It's been a long journey to get to the point where I can look at a challenge and say, what's in this challenge of value? What's in this catastrophe, if you will, or something that makes me uncomfortable? So my job then becomes to step back and not get sucked in. And this is one of the things I've really learned in the many years. And I know there's a few people out there that can sit back and not get sucked into the situation and get pulled into the less than useful part of it or the negative part of a situation. And if we get sucked in, it's easy to get buried and buried fast. And so when we step back and observe and say, I know there's something useful in the situation. What is it? Is it easy to find? Hardly. Most of the time, it's very difficult. Can take minutes, hours, days, even weeks. But when we ask the question, ask an upside question, and really doing a review here in the third quarter of 2018, it's the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2018. Have you had a good year so far? What have you done this year? What has taken you to another level? Whether it's your health, your fitness, your diet, your mindset, even a smile. Going down the street and greeting people. And I've spoken of this before, and I just love it. No matter what's going on with us, if we smile with another person, it pulls us up. We feel better, no matter what the situation is. We naturally, physically, the physiology of a smile, the physiology of not looking down while we're walking down the street, that actually pulls us down. So in our daily life, getting up, getting out, and making our life really a masterpiece. So I was going through some notes from last year and sorting and seeing what I had found and what I missed. And this note comes back from way before this program, but I was in the midst of considering it. And it talks about high energy and how to put yourself up a little bit when you're not feeling it. That's a real key. It's like a switch. And again, with practice, we can do that. So in these pages I went through and I found, and there was a subject that's called don't die until you're dead. That just caught me right off guard, but it sucked me right in. Because for some of us, we lead quiet lives of desperation and we're being mechanical, and it's as if we weren't alive, as if we didn't have a spark in our step, as if we didn't have a spark in our conversation that goes to the downside. But there's many around us that do. And for those that do, it's really very important to observe the people that do, the people that are up, the people that are moving. They have apparently a mission in life, or a mission in the day, or even a mission in the moment. You can really tell. You're walking down the street, in airports. I like observing and watching people and feeling their energy and how they're going through life. Do they do this every day, or is it just the day, or is it just the moment? Some are really upbeat, going along, smiling, and others, it's just a contrast that we know is life. So there's a full spectrum of life we can choose to live through our attitude, and firstly, our gratitude. Catching on to gratitude and embracing it is probably one of the most powerful tools I've ever experienced in my life. Is to find, no matter what, people said, Peter, be grateful. You'll find something to be grateful. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know what I've gone through, what I've been doing, and on and on and on, and we all hear it. Well, if you knew how my life was, well, you know what? I think we all have these lives. We're no different. Each one of us is a human being. That person we compare, and we think the grass is greener in the other yard, and the light is brighter in someone else's mind. Well, maybe it is, but that didn't come easy. That came by some effort and some work and putting forth with a desire to feel good. And I know before I was working on my diet, my energy, and my nutritional supplement program, I don't really have a stiff program. At one time, I took too many supplements. It had an adverse effect because I was of the mindset, whoa, well, these things are the answer to the world. But it's all about balance. And coupling the value of nutritional supplements, whole food supplements, not heavily processed, combined with foods to give us an uplifting state. So to get to have a proper attitude, which is a result of my gratitude. So as I connected more on little things that I could be grateful for, because there weren't many big things at one time. And I would say, well, I mean, it goes way back to, well, I'm grateful to wake up in the morning, and maybe some people aren't, but, find that bird singing outside the window. Look for the flower outside if it's the springtime or the summer, and listen to the breeze blowing. Some little thing that can be a switch that can bring on some joy and pleasure. So a foundation of finding this little bit of joy, this little bit of joy, this little bit, even if 80% of the day or 90% of the day is not joyful, if you stack on today a little more joy through identifying little things that we can be grateful for, that ultimately lift us up into a more positive attitude. And again, the work and the effort put forth is not like something, okay, well, I was grateful for a little bit, but that's a natural change that happens to us when we just keep the focus. And for me, it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy, but it got easier and easier, and I felt better and better, and I figured out things. I spoke of diet before here, where the whole starts at the gratitude, an attitude, feeling better, finding some joy, feeling better about me, and lifting me up to where now I'll go. And it's really interesting how my whole mindset about foods and pastries and salads and healthy food, or steamed foods and good healthy foods for us, how I look at those today and how others look at them after some practice. When we stack on with the mental attitude and getting our physiology in order, sometimes we don't necessarily need to put things in our body to change our state, as I showed in one of our episodes in 2017, where we can tap and we can clear our chi and our energy, and it just lifts us up by deep breathing oxygen. So it's really this full spectrum. And by practice and practice and practice and painful practice sometimes, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to ride my bike at 10 o'clock at night, but I just ate a bunch of food. And I must, in order for me to not go to bed weighted down, literally, with a bunch of food weighted down in my head, which doesn't do me much good in the morning. Or maybe next week, because if I do that too much, I'm stepping backwards. So identifying those things where you can change your diet, gratitude is probably one of the simplest. Is it the easiest? Simple. We don't want to sometimes see the sunshine. We want to wallow in the stuff. I get that. But I get it. I still get it, but I don't do it. If I find myself getting in that wallow stuff, I hit the switch. I just say, no way, I am not going there. Why? Because I found so much upside and ways through effort to feel really good and vibrant and full of energy that I just don't want to go back there. And the nutritional supplements and the diet, they just lift up my energy. And when I don't do them for maybe a week or something, I can feel it. And the good whole foods, what we charge our body and our mind and really our spirit. I used to think, well, I can just take all these vitamins and I would be fine. And then I wasn't. And I started studying why an apple a day is magical. It's the energy in the food, not just the extracted compounds of that food. The sunshine, the earth, the minerals, everything, and the water that's purified in that food, as long as you have clean food. That goes to our cellular level. I've worked on it that when I eat really good food, I can feel it lifting my body up. But that is not always the case, was not always the case. So I was talking about the going into the store and how I observe food, or perhaps how you observe food. And how I used to go in was, oh man, that looks so good, that turnover stuffed with apple or almonds or croissant. And I have kind of a disconnect now to that, where it's like, no, I don't think so. And pretty much I just got control of my weight maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Took me 18 or 20 years to do that. I would talk about it. I would try this. I would do this. I would do that. How I did it really was just changing the food I ate. And then I ate that food so long. Did I always want to eat it? No. But I knew from what other people told me that I would change. Things would change. My desires would change. And going into eating something kind of greasy and really sweet, or a little bit sweet, doesn't always have to be greasy or sweet, but changing how I connected my energy, and somehow magically understanding that doing this is going to create this, is going to create this, and going to create this, and I'm not going to like the outcome. So I just don't do it. A lot of work, but worth every bit of it. I can tell you, I just had my 65th birthday, and I didn't know all the benefits of that, the big 6'5". But I kind of feel like I've only reached a halfway point. I was on my jet ski last weekend, just 5 days ago, in the last day of September, actually, out in the Atlantic, chasing the rollers. They were beautiful, crashing on the seashore in Magnolia and Gloucester. I mean, big waves, and did some real serious riding again. And I don't think of my age at all when I get on that jet ski. I think of the energy and the vibrance and the life and the joy I'm going to feel from that ride. And by keeping in fit shape, I was surprised, quite frankly, because I hadn't ridden that jet ski probably, I didn't ride all summer. I was busy. And I got on that jet ski and I rode, and yeah, my muscles were a little sore, and my legs, because you have to hold on like a horse, kind of. But the strength, this thing about muscle memory that I read and people told me about. Well, there was a time that muscle memory didn't stick with me because I let it go too far. And it's kind of like you can only go so far if you forget to brush your teeth in the morning or wash your face. You can only go so many hours before you grab that toothbrush or wash your face. And it's kind of like that with my physical things. I'm sitting around doing what I do in the day, and I'm like, I got to get out. I haven't exercised maybe for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, could be even a week. I mean, seriously, getting some burn on. I mean, I go for a walk, maybe a quick bike ride, a couple of miles. That's just light stuff. But getting some real resistance in builds that that muscle memory, and gives us that kind of hidden strength that over time and over practice. I saw that in Manchester at the yoga center on Beach Street. Practice. And I love it because I saw something else online. Practice. It's just practice, no matter what we do. And it comes back to Mr. Tom Brady, right? We practice. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our pain. And we sit back and we observe, but we don't quit and we don't stop and we keep moving because we don't want to die till we're dead. We're here. Life is to be savored like a good meal, like a great baked stuffed lobster and a real New England clam chowder or a Gloucester clam chowder, to be savored, or fish chowder, or whatever it is we have here, that, or any place, that is to be savored as a food. Well, exercise, energy, our life, all of our vibrancy, we can savor that as well. And by using that mindset, kind of stepping back and saying, well, maybe I never thought of it that way. And coming full circle is, oh, I don't feel like it, or I'm tired, or I don't want to do that. And I remember when I was living in Key West and I would travel, I was learning to travel. And the first time I went to Asia, I went the long way. I went on the budget way. And I flew economy. And I went to Taiwan to import some nautical items to my stores in Key West. And when I got back, I felt bad, like 38 hours. So I went there for like a week, and then I came back, and I was wrecked. But I was at my home in Key West, and I'm like, if I go to sleep, I've learned, if I go to sleep and I'm really tired, I wake up really not feeling good. So what I found out was that I should go down to the pier house, hop in the pool, swim, refresh. Water is amazing. Swim, get refreshed, and I'm like totally recharged. And sure, I have jet lag, but that's just a time thing. But the energy and getting fresh again. And so when I'm tired, rather than just going to bed, it depends on the feel of the tired for me, but like if I'm feeling like tired and I want to get a little more energy, energy gets energy. Energy gives energy. So when I'm tired and I go ride my bike and I come back in, I'm like alive and awake, and I'm sure you are too when you do those things. So treat yourself well. Work on it. And we all have these moments. Doesn't matter, we're all human here. And there's no one here that's a superhuman more than anybody else, including Tom Brady. Tom Brady is all about attitude. He's like persistent with his attitude. I just love his quotes. I bring them in the studio every time I come here because he's the powerhouse. He's the person we respect. And why? He disciplines himself. I even put it on my bracelet here. I have a line of jewelry, and I make these words for people to remind themselves. And so there's 3 words you can put on your jewelry, or 1 word to help you stay focused. Or inside the ring, I have words that remind me to be courageous. And whatever it is that I challenge, just don't back off. Go for it. And be passionate. And to have energy and focus on it. And just know the results are there. Why? How do I know? Because I see someone like Tom Brady. The power of choice. Take ownership of you. And that's what I found. It's like difficult because we're always listening to other people. You're listening to me, but who do you listen to is really important. Not the naysayers, the people that say, yeah, you can do that. And if they're around you, I suggest you, kind of cut it and move on. Because if you do want more energy and you do want to feel better and you do want to be living in life, then you got to kind of walk the other way to the noise that's not uplifting and supporting to you. Because that's what we need around us. We can find every little bit of pull me down stuff whenever we want. And I don't like to keep reverting to that, but I do like to put the contrast in there so that we can see that that's of no real use to us. And for those that are in that space, perhaps if we decide to leave that space at a later time, they'll see us or see you and they'll say, well, what happened to Laura, Bob, Leslie, Jim. What happened to them? They got some energy, and I'm here sitting here for year after year talking about the downside. So I'm talking about the upside here and the focus on the upside for this year of 2018 and moving forward, because we all know about the news. We know what's going on. There's no secrets here, and it's a little disheartening at times for all of us. No matter what you think, no matter what you believe, no matter what you choose. And the bottom line is, in every situation, if we all choose the upside of whatever it is we're listening to, seeing, if there is none, next, until we can find, oh, that's great. That's a nice, wow, that's uplifting. And stack them up, and live in the moment of today, not the past. The past is the past. It's there. And we're not going to change it. It exists. And so if we were not comfortable with our past, or if we're not comfortable with that thought of the past, then let's just cut the anchor of the past, cut those lines, and keep the focus forward, full ahead forward. And if you got to build up the speed, then forward, slow forward. Watch Tom Brady, watch his movements, even if you don't like football. You got to respect this guy. He's amazing. The mind over matter. Well, I was having a discussion with my bookkeeper the other day. She goes, Peter, I had this really bad thing happen to my foot, and I went to the doctor, and he's like, did you want this medication? It's really painful. And she studies Native American history, and I think somewhere in her family she's got some Native American blood. She goes, I didn't take any of that medicine. She says, Peter, it's mind over matter. She says, I understand how people can do this because I do this. I didn't feel a thing in my foot when it was my toe when they were cutting it and doing an operation to clean up some stuff. She says, I just didn't do it. And I still don't feel the pain. And I'm just like, that's amazing, Tanya. That's amazing. And so we can do that. I did a fire walk with Tony Robbins, 43 feet. Well, I didn't burn my foot. I watched them build that fire for 2 hours, and under the full moon in Hawaii in 1999, I did this 40, he said it's like the longest fire walk on record, probably longer now, but who cares? It's the whole mindset that we can do whatever it is, mind over matter. How can you walk or run on red hot coals? I've walked on glass. This guy just proved something. A whole stack of broken bottles. Proved you can walk on the glass without getting cut. Mind over matter. I mean, I'm not suggesting you do any of this stuff. I'm just suggesting that it's been done. And I'm just one example of thousands, or who knows, hundreds of thousands. And be ambitious about what it is in your dream. Don't squash that dream. Embrace it. Forget what they're saying over here. Embrace whatever it is that's in your gut that's going to make you move forward. And I would say you go look online to some of Tom Brady's quotes and just keep it simple. There's no need to make any of this stuff complex. And that's the one thing I learned in my life, is just keep it simple. This is Peter Stone with a focus on the upside. 2018, it's great to be back here in Cape Ann, and thank you for watching. I've got a couple other episodes coming up with a little more depth and breadth. Thanks again, Peter Stone. We'll see you next time.